Labor Day 2021 will be observed tomorrow, May 24, under the theme, Stay Home, Stay Safe, Clean Up Your Space. One main thing to remember is that it will be a no-movement day, and you're probably now wondering what you will do to occupy the time. Good thing you joined us then for another edition of Jamaica Magazine, as we have some tips and ideas just for you. You don't want to miss out on the exciting information that may give you that spark for your Labor Day idea. I'm your host, Theodore Henry. Stay tuned.
Is your facility approved for COVID-19 testing? The Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, through the JANAC Accreditation or Pre-Accreditation Approval Program, validates labs and point-of-care testing facilities such as medical centers. Accreditation safeguards the quality of test results and consumer well-being. Use a JANAC accredited or PAP approved facility for your tests, and let's defeat COVID-19 together. Contact the Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation, confirming competence, providing confidence in the marketplace.
This week on Get the Facts, we take a look at another government-led initiative to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Welcome to Get the Facts, the program that provides you with information on government's policies and initiatives. I'm your host, Enthros Campbell. Today we'll be talking about fire safety and prevention. Our resource person is Acting Assistant Commissioner and Officer in charge of the Fire Prevention Division at the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Emilio Ebanks. Mr. Ebanks, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having us.
What is good fire safety practices, though?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. Recently, we had a situation in the news where we saw an incident where it's alleged that an individual turned the knob to start the stove to do some cooking, then left and went for a lighter. Unfortunately, and I really want to speak to the family directly from the Jamaica Fire Brigade. We are extremely sorry for what really happened.
Yes.
It grieves our heart when one individual dies. That individual unfortunately died because, as I said, the information we received is that they turned the knob, left and went for something to light the stove, and then came back and light it, and it caused an explosion. We really want to point out to individuals, if you go back to the basics of how you were taught to light a stove, you make sure that lit before you turn the knob. It's the same for the stoves that have the electronic ignition. You press that ignition button, have the ignition going, and then you turn the knob to turn the gas on. So generally speaking, that is it when it comes to the operations of the stove. When you're cooking, of course, you don't leave the cooking unattended any at all, because there can be boilovers. And when you have boilovers, the boilovers can actually lead to fires. We have instances of that where it boils over onto the stovetop for persons who are going to ask what is boil over. And then, of course, those elements that come out of the pot, pieces of what you're cooking, they'll come there and they'll be exposed to the direct heat from the stove, and they will get brittle, and they can actually start a fire there that can spread.
Yes, yes.
So generally speaking, again, whenever it comes to cooking, make sure the cooking is never left unattended. As well, we have to go through the regular practices of don't leave the children and the elderly alone at home, especially the children. And I always tell persons, when you're educating children as to how to be safe, tell them the consequences. It shocks them into reality when you tell them exactly what can happen, but you want to tell them the consequences to ensure that they understand the end result of the situation.
Yes. Another cause of fires is people would light a match and they throw it in the bin.
Yes. We always point out to individuals, never discard an open flame until it's cold. That's the best way. So if you light a match, don't just light and then you throw it away afterwards. What I personally do, if I light a match and there's water, I prefer to drop it in the water and leave it there.
Yes, yes.
As well, if there's no water, as I said, make sure that it goes cold so you're not seeing any glowing any at all. Because of course, once you see glowing, there's heat involved. And it depends on where it will fall when you throw it out. It can actually start a fire. And of course, there are the smokers as well, who we have to speak to. Never ever smoke in bed, and don't just flick the butt out when you're driving. Because those things actually start fires.
Right. So the kitchen is one source of fires. What else? What are you seeing as some of the causes?
Generally speaking, when it comes to household fires or structural fires, the main thing is electricity. Whether it is coming from persons siphoning off the grid, or situations where you have persons not connected properly, or it might very well be a situation where exposure to the elements. For example, let me give you an example of that one. You have some lines and they are out there in the sun, they are exposed to the sun, they are exposed to the rain. Over time, the insulation is going to break down. So what we normally point out to individuals is, if your house has been wired, inspected and passed over 5 years ago, get a certified and a licensed electrician to come in and do some general checks.
Okay.
Just a run-of-the-mill check for you. If you see ants coming out of your sockets,
yes,
it's an indication that something is going on in there. It's
yes,
a little bit warmer in there, and it's a little bit more moist than outside, so they've moved in there. When they move in there, they are going to feed on the insulation. And what's going to happen is that the negative and positive will come together at some point.
Okay.
And that will start a fire.
So after 5 years, you should always get somebody to check it. A
licensed and certified electrician,
yes,
because
yes,
what we don't want is for somebody from down the road who knows a little bit about electrical work to come in. They unfortunately might not do the same job as the licensed and certified electrician.
Yes, okay.
So you want to ensure that.
Yes, okay. We take a break now. We come back with some more information about fire safety and prevention. Stay with us.
Concerned about uncollected garbage at home? Do you see garbage piling up on the streets? Then report it. Use the National Solid Waste Management Authority's mobile app to report instances of littering, illegal dumping, and uncollected garbage. From anywhere and at any time, be an environment warden by informing the authority of unsightly solid waste. You will be notified when your report has been received by the NSWMA, as well as when the matter is resolved. Download the app from the iOS or Android app stores by typing in NSWMA. Play your part, as Jamaica's beauty is everybody's duty.
Welcome back to Get the Facts. We're talking with Acting Assistant Commissioner and Officer in charge of the Fire Prevention Division of the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Emilia E. Banks. Okay, so we have a lot more children at home now because of the pandemic, the COVID-19. Yes. What would be your advice to parents now?
One of the good things that COVID has done in that area is that adults are actually working from home as well. So what we found surprisingly is that adults are there, so there's more supervision for the children, because we would normally see a spike of house fires and children dying from fires or becoming homeless during certain times of the year. Summer is one of those. Yeah. And of course, the children, I don't want to say they've been on summer since COVID has started, but they've been at home, but adults have been at home as well, working from home. So it's really just to point out to the adults that the children, of course, will not have school to be a distraction, so to speak, in terms of going out to school. They'll be at home now, so there are more things there to occupy their time. So what you need to do is make sure that that time is used productively. Right. So of course you want to ensure supervision, and you can also take the time to teach them some things that normally you would not have the time to do because you're now at home with them as well. Right.
So there's one benefit from COVID-19. Good. Yes. All right, tell us, you have had to change your operations, the Fire Brigade. Talk to us about that.
Well, before COVID, what we had was 3 shifts working in a particular 24 hours. Yes. So you would have one working for 8 hours, one working for 7, and then another working for 9 hours. Because of the fact that we wanted to limit as much as possible how much time our firefighters spend on public transport and that kind of thing, the management came up with the decision to have firefighters working 24-hour shifts, which is, generally speaking, it happens in the rest of the world. We were still at that point where we did 8, 9, and 7. So now we're working 24-hour shifts. So you would do a straight 24-hour shift, and then after that time, you'd go home, you'd get a break for 36 hours, and then you'd come back to work and do another 24-hour shift.
Okay.
So,
all right. Yes. And you're not just fighting fires. Tell us about the other services that you provide.
I'm glad you asked that, because a lot of persons tend to associate the Jamaica Fire Brigade with only fighting fires. We do a lot more than that. And our services would have been called upon a lot of times during this COVID situation, especially our emergency medical technicians, which persons normally call the paramedics. We would have seen the situation in Westmoreland recently. We have ambulances in Sablamar and we have ambulances in Negril. We also have in Hanover, we have in St. James, in St. Catherine as well. And all of these areas are hotbed areas. So those EMTs have been called out. We now see Trelawney spiking as well in terms of COVID. We have ambulance in Trelawney as well. So all of those areas that we have ambulance service, we have been seeing the calls coming in for our firefighters. And I really want to implore the public, when you call, be open with us, because we need to know what it is that we'll be responding to before we get there. We've had situations where persons, suspected COVID persons, and they've called and they've given us a myriad of reports. In one particular report, one person told us that it was childbirth. When we got there, we didn't even see anybody pregnant. Had it not been for our mantra to always be prepared for whatever eventualities, they could have gone into that situation unprepared.
Yeah, but it was something else.
Would have exposed them. Yes, it was actually a COVID call. So the person reported that somebody was about to have a child, and when we got there, from our checks, we realized that it was a COVID situation. And of course, we handled the situation and we assisted.
How do you handle it? And you don't have a doctor with you or a nurse?
Well, the thing is, when you go to the University of the West Indies or to UTech, wherever you get your pre-hospital training, you are prepared for all these eventualities. As well, the Ministry of Health and Wellness, which is our guide in terms of dealing with these things from a medical perspective, they provide guidance, they provide training, so all our EMTs would have gone through the training. They would have been operating under the guidance of the medical doctors at the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and our ambulances would have been prepared. The team would have been prepared for all of these things. So when you go in, it is really facing the situation and relying on your training to handle it.
So you do the EMS to provide that kind of service. Anything else? Any other kind of service?
There's a fire prevention, which is where I am at the fire brigade headquarters. And one of the teams that always call me out when I forget them is our maintenance staff. Critical, very, very critical. We have over 100 vehicles in the fleet. The maintenance staff is extremely important. They keep the vehicles running, and when you come into the fire brigade, what you can do is you can move into one of the specialized areas. So there's fire prevention, there's the emergency medical services, there's the maintenance section that you can go into, or at the fire brigade headquarters where everything comes together, it's like a melting pot, is really the administrative cell of the Jamaica Fire Brigade.
You also service water hydrants. What should people do when they see water running from the fire hydrants?
Once you see water coming from a hydrant, go into the nearest fire station, call the nearest fire station and report it. Or you can call us at the fire brigade headquarters, especially if you are located in Kingston. And the easy number to remember is 922-0007. So that's 876-922-0007. Once you tell the operator that you are reporting a hydrant, they will send it to the fire prevention department. The situation will be logged. We will send a team out to assess and come out and carry out the repairs.
Okay. Why is it important for persons to report these water hydrants that are not functioning well?
The first basis is that if it's not functioning well, it's not going to serve its purpose. And in the event that there's a fire in this particular area and that hydrant is not working properly, it will not be able to assist us. And if it's not able to assist us, we will not be able to assist you as efficiently as we ought to. So it's very important that you report all situations with fire hydrants. And I want to beg persons literally, do not do anything to harm or disturb the fire hydrants when you see them out there. We've gone and seen, and you are about to couple up the hose to the hydrant, And when you look there, juice boxes, food boxes, persons would have stuff down in the hydrant valve pit, which is the area that you would turn to operate the hydrant from. All of these things will slow down the operation.
Yes, yes.
And in an emergency where life and death depends on it, a second is slowing down that can lead to a death.
You have been on a drive to fix these hydrants. How are you doing? Tell us about how that program. How is it going?
When we started this drive, we were just about 30% of the over 15,000 fire hydrants on the island working. At this time, we're about 70 to 80% of those hydrants working. And the team, I want to, of course, applaud the fire hydrant teams. We have two teams, one in Western Jamaica and one in Kingston. They work relentlessly. They work around the clock to ensure that these numbers are up. And as an organization, as an emergency response, the premier emergency response agency, we have to ensure that a part of our corporate plan and our operational plan is to ensure the efficiency of these fire hydrants, because of course that increases our efficiency whenever we go out there. So we make sure that they're all working.
Good. We thank you for the work you're doing, and we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming to share with us today.
You're welcome.
This has been Get the Facts. Our guest was Acting Assistant Commissioner and Officer in Charge of the Fire Prevention Division at the Jamaica Fire Brigade, Emilio E. Banks. For more information on fire safety, contact the Jamaica Fire Brigade at 876-619-1511 or visit their website at www.jfb.gov.jm. Until next time, when Get the Facts brings you, as usual, more useful information. I'm Rose Campbell. Thanks for watching. Have a good 2021.
The following is brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with kind support of NIA and USAID.
Criminal minds think they are cunning. The major organized crime and anti-corruption agency have them running. Your friend a shout, come scam. Take time running, are we ready for the ops? Drive up on your block, step out now me block, cyber take about your laptop. Pull up every lock, no evidence to drop. We put it in a cuffs and now we have the underground. When you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. They say you get where, look out for. Look out for, look out for. From you say scam, you better look out for. When you move corrupt, better look out for. They say you get where, look out for. Look out for, look out for.
The proceeding was brought to you by MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency with the kind support of NIA and USAID.
The Agriculture Ministry has been encouraging all Jamaicans to start a backyard garden, even if you don't have much space. Utilizing your used plastic bottles, buckets, and pans, or even old tires is one way to get started. Check out this recycling greenhouse that you can remodel to grow your plants at home. Let's use our imagination.
Recycling, the process by which used materials are converted into new, usable products. One of those commonly recycled materials is the plastic bottle. It's often used to produce a number of products, from clothing to furniture and even other bottles. But did you know that bottles can be repurposed into a greenhouse? Well, a team from the Richmond Park Primary School in Clarendon not only built a greenhouse, but also created an irrigation system along the way.
The JCCP and the UNDP involved us into a project in ways how we can sustain the environment. So our school, we came up with the idea of recycling plastic bottles. And because we are in the farming, our school is in the 4-H club, we decided to do the greenhouse and plant crops inside of it. We use plastic bottles a lot in our schools and our surroundings, and we see them all over the place. So we and the students, we came together with an idea to collect all the plastic bottles in our communities, and then we bring them back to our school, and then we wash them, and then we started to build the greenhouse. This size, it took us 1 week. Exactly 1 week. Inside we have 6 types of drip irrigation system. We have the cone dripper, where we put the plant inside. We cut the liter bottle and put the plant inside of it, and the water is absorbed by the absorbent cord into the soil. That is, the plant can get the water and the nutrients also. And we have the hose dripper. When the water runs off the roof and catches into the bucket, it leads to the hose and it waters the plants also. And we have the plant hangers and the syrup bottle self-watering system, where the water drips from one bottle to the next until it waters all the plants. So you don't have to go every day to water plants. The bottles are there, it's a self-watering system. All you have to do is to pour some water inside the bottles.
The greenhouse was a hit at the 66th staging of the Denby Agricultural Show in Clarendon and caught the attention of several government ministers.
Inside there is cooler than outside here, and I think if we can have some of these going, it might suit quite a number of persons who might think of setting up house.
Reduce, reuse, recycle. The use of plastic bottles in the agricultural sector is definitely becoming a thing. So give it a try. Start a backyard garden and help to rid the country of these pollutants. We all can play our part in helping to make the country a cleaner place and even help to boost the economy.
Farm sanitization should be top priority for all farmers, especially those who have interest in the export market. If you can't afford a manufactured hand wash station, here's how you can get innovative. What I'm about to show you doesn't need a day to make, and you don't necessarily have to have a farm to use it. This can be placed right at your doorstep for when you want to wash off the outside before going inside.
Based on laws imposed by the United States, Jamaican farmers are required to be certified under the Food Safety Modernization Act, as well as the Global Good Agricultural Practices Global GAP, if they want to export to that country. Given this development, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority RADA saw the need to introduce a hand wash station for farmers. It's part of the measures to assist local growers improve sanitation on their farms and fulfill one criteria for export certification.
The concept behind this is just a little bit different. Usually other hand wash stations will have a gravity-fed system, but what we done, we have incorporated a system that was here, that was developed here locally several years now, where we used the pump and spray that was introduced some time ago. Although it was introduced for the same concept in terms of showing and things like that, we have used the features of the pump and spray to add a little bit more dynamics to our presentation here, where you have a pressurized system. So that calls for a person's self. One person can actually wash their hands here without assistance from somebody else. So you'd go there without contaminating that water source that you have.
This hand wash station is not only affordable, it is also easy to assemble. All you need is an iron trolley, 3 oil kegs, a pump and spray instrument, and some PVC pipes and fittings.
From there, at a local welder, we modify the trolley, and in a way that we could install the kegs. So here we have the trolley, and we weld the handles, so it would be able to hold the keg steadily. And this is a pump and spray that we can get locally. So how it works is that a farmer or anybody who is working in the field would come by the wash station. He would get some soap on his hand, okay, and he would pump the system. The pair would pressurize the bottle, and in return, air will displace the water, and the water will comes up. and then the farmer would wash. After washing, the farmer wouldn't have to touch anything to contaminate his hands. He would just move over to the hand towel and dry his hands.
It was good. I enjoy doing it. It wasn't hard at all. It was just easy. Just put my foot and pump it. Water just come up and I wash my hands.
The effects of not having a hand wash station, well, it's really more for safety as it relates to you, the farmer, because what RADA's mandate is also about is to educate farmers on best practices as it relates to agriculture. And the farmer's safety is a part of the best practices that we are trying to encourage out there.
The team also successfully designed a water pump made using a weed hacker, which can fill a 50-gallon drum in 5 minutes.
This whacker can be used for more than one purpose. So a farmer can have a whacker but need a water pump, cannot afford a water pump. Now what the farmer can do is just easily retrofit the whacker and a pump, merge them together so that he can have a water pump and a whacker. So at times, whenever the farmer needs a whacker, we just remove the pump and put on the whacker section.
Farming may be expensive, but through innovation, your basic equipment could be just what you need to ensure greater savings.
Stay home, stay safe, clean up your space this Labor Day. Empty old tires, old pots and pans that aren't being used and are storing water that can breed mosquitoes. Use them to plant flowers or even farm produce like peppers and tomatoes. Paint them too if you want to make it extra special and decorate your yard. Weed out your yard. You might be surprised at how much space you have to flex your green thumb with just a little weeding. Gather used plastics and separate your garbage. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. Do your part. Stay home, stay safe, clean up your space as we work to make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
We work to make communities safer by essentially looking at the structures in the community that contribute greatest to social capital building. Try to reinforce, build, and establish those structures in a way that the community can sustain their own safety and own their own peace. When we say, for instance, we're doing a zinc fence removal program, what we're really doing is improving the line of sight. If you're on the street and you can see better what is behind the fences, then as you walk along the street or children play on, etc., you're able to contribute to crime prevention. We believe in terms of our mandate and our responsibility that by making communities safer, we can make Jamaica safer.
This is where the magazine ends for today, but if you would like to see more content like this, then visit our YouTube page. We also have all the latest news and updates on our social media pages and on our website, which you can find at jis.gov.jm. On behalf of the entire production crew, I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.